let's first look at all the new gems, new changes that have been added. I think that's something that's really cool. Okay, first of all, we have Summon Carrion Golem, which I think looked really, really awesome. It's looks like a freaking dinosaur skeleton dude that's running around with you. And yeah, as I said, I've already looked at this. The other stuff I didn't really look into too much detail. So Carrion Golem is a well-rounded attacker using a rapid melee attack. Yeah, usually just rapidly punches people. It has leap slam, so you can actually like gap close to packs, which might make him really good for clear. And cool unrestricted multi-cascade slam, which is kind of like a ground slam looking ability, but it's like a multi-cascade, so I think it probably works like Glacial Cascade, where you have like multiple phases that can actually AoE overlap a bit to do more damage. So maybe even his single target is also pretty good. Chances are he's just a really good minion, and he gives your his golem passive buff, because all the golems have like a passive buff, is added physical damage to non-golem minions. So stacking this with other minion types such as skeletons, which have I think added damage effectiveness, and zombies and all that kind of stuff, works probably really well. And also it has a unique feature that gives him more damage per non-golem minion near it, so you get up to 80% more damage, so you don't even need to support him as much. So I think this is like a really, really cool thing. And yeah, as it says, a single Carrion Golem fits into well-established minion builds. So yeah, I think that's probably what most summoner people will do. For example, if I'm going to play Dominating Blow, I'll just have like one of these minions, maybe toss it in with into my link setup with Herald of Purity, do something like Herald of Purity, like Fortify maybe to keep stuff alive, and the Carrion Golem, and then just like another link and some plus to levels, because maybe his what I expect is that his buff, the flat physical, would stack like go up with gem levels. So I would put it, for example, into +2 or +3 minion helmet, and that would really work well. I would assume. Feeding Frenzy support. Feeding Frenzy support makes supported minions aggressive, and as Mark said on Reddit, Mark from GGG, it is so made so that the aggro radius gets increased. So they'll, yeah, as I said, increasing the range to seek out enemies. Probably kind of works like the Golem makes Golem aggressive gem, so it just makes minions go ham onto like packs and like spread out and kill everything in sight. And they also get a chance on hit to give you the Feeding Frenzy buff, which gives a more multiplier to minion damage, increased minion attack speed, cast speed, and movement speed, which is all like insane stats for minions. And it gives you the Feeding Frenzy buff as well. So it gives you a Feeding Frenzy buff to all your minions, and while you have the buff, they also get like an additional more multiplier. So it is also like a support gem, not only for your other minions, but also for the minions themselves. And what I'm thinking is there's like two ways to do this. Either, for example, you put this on your, like, you have 6-link zombies, and you put that onto your zombies, so you can use them better for AoE clear. So you put this onto your AoE clear mobs. Another thing I can imagine is, let's say your main AoE clear mobs are Solar Guard Specters, but you don't want to put this on them because they're already clearing decently well. They're fairly aggressive by themselves already, but you want the damage buff. So you just have, like, let's say the single Carrion Golem running around, and you put the Feeding Frenzy support on that, and just have it on like a 4-link. So whenever that Golem like jumps in somewhere and hits something, you get this buff. For example, to also buff your Specters. So you basically have your Specters, because this buff will be up most of the time. I suppose. Because that Golem will just go ham, you will have this buff on your Specters, and you can still link those Specters up with some other stuff as well, while they still get the Feeding Frenzy buff. Not the secondary more damage, but the first more damage, and I think that's going to be really cool as well. So I can see this either being a main link thing, or like a support minions thing that you just put in for the buff. I think both things, like both setups could be viable, and definitely worth trying out, like one or the other, which one works best. Alright, next up we have the Meat Shield support, which makes supported minions more defensive, causing them to only attack enemies very close to you, so the minion will mainly stick to you and just hit stuff that gets like right onto your character. And yeah, minions have a chance to taunt on hit, which is kind of good and bad, because if a minion is always standing on like your character, but it starts taunting stuff will kind of like hit into your direction. So every mob with an AoE attack will hit you as well, while every mob with like single target attacks will of course hit your minion. But I still think this is a really, really cool gem. The main uses I can see is because it also reduces the damage the minions take, and it causes them to deal more damage to close enemies. So it is still a damage multiplier, but I don't think that will be the main use. And so yeah, it will make a minion defensive, stay with you, only defend you basically. And I think the main uses would be to keep an animate guardian alive, so it would stick close to your character, not run into like stupid shit and die all the time. Or use it with, for example, the specters that have the undying evangelists that have the proximity shield bubbles. And if you have those bubble guys sitting on your character all the time, that's basically where you want them to be. They wouldn't do as much damage, but they're not the best clearing and damage specters anyways. But they would give you a permanent proximity shield, because you can get pretty close to permanent uptime if you link them with increased duration. So that could be a really nice defensive setup as well. And plus they take reduced damage, so they will be kept alive even if something gets into the radius. And if something gets into the bubble, because that's what monsters would have to do to hit you, that's when they get the more multiplier from the gem, and yeah, they would start hitting the monsters as well, because they are actually close enough. So I think that could be a really cool defensive setup, depending like how all-out offensive or how tanky you want to go with your summoner. Alright, let's look at the Deathmark support. I think this is the one I'm actually most excited for, because that's basically the one thing that everyone's been asking for always. Deathmark support gem grants the supported minions more damage. So you just link it and it's more damage. And it grants you the Deathmark skill. The Deathmark skill, casting it on an enemy causes all minions supported by Deathmark to prioritize attacking that target. So you can be like, kill this allies can't die mob, which is probably what all summoners always wanted. Plus, you can really make minions focus down a boss. And it gives them further multiplier against that enemy. So if you mark something, they will go for it, and they will get another more multiplier on top of their other more multiplier against that target. And of course, you can only have one Deathmark target. So you have one priority target that you can, for example, let's say you have, for clearing, you have your zombies linked with like Freezing Frenzy and Pulverize and whatever, and like really low cooldown on their slam. And then you have specters, let's say let's say solar guards, but you could also have the slave drivers, and you link those with the Deathmark, so you can like, specters, kill this guy, and then the zombies take care of the rest, which is really, really good as well. So I think this Deathmark support probably going to see a ton of use, and might be the biggest game changer for summoners. Then there's Infernal Legion support, which I think could be like the sleeper OP, like hidden gem of this summoner reveal. But it could also be a complete dud and not do anything at all. So what it does, basically gives your minions kind of like an RF debuff, where they take fire damage over time as a percentage of their maximum life, which could be used for like minion instability to kill them off. But they also gain a burning damage aura, dealing fire damage over time to nearby enemies. So one thing to note, as it says here, the effect doesn't stack. So if you have 10 minions on one mob, they take the same amount of damage as if you have 1 minion on one mob dealing the fire damage aura. I think Infernal Legion has potential, if the numbers are right, to be really good. I personally don't think it's going to be a percentage of your minion's life, so not like RF, where minion life scales the damage of the Infernal Legion burning aura. If it does, this could be really insane, but I suppose it has like a level based, maybe on minion level based, or a level based on the support gem damage scaling, like a flat damage scaling that you can then further multiply. So what I don't like about this teaser is that this witch is wielding a two-handed sword. I'm guessing this is a Queen's Escape, which gives minions 100% increased movement speed, which makes this look a lot more awesome than it would be without the weapon, because 100% movement speed on minions is insane. But it looks really cool, and of course you can just make a Queen's Escape build, and that's what you're gonna get, right? Right, summon skeletons. Base duration is 20 seconds. I don't know if that's more or less than it was before. Maximum number of 8 skeletons, I think, is more than it was before. And you summon 3 skeletons at once. So this is basically, they put the extra summoned skeletons from the Necromancer Ascendancy, from the old one, and put it on here. And they also dash towards nearby enemies if they're aggressive. So if you link Feeding Frenzy to them, they'll like dash to stuff and actually be viable for AoE clear now, because Skellies never really were the AoE clearing minions. They usually were the single target ones, but maybe they're now viable for AoE clear. I think that could be a possibility now. And zombies slam is larger. I think linking zombies with Pulverize could make for like really nice AoE clear. So zombies with Feeding Frenzy, some other damage multipliers, and Pulverize using the what's called the Violent Dead. Yeah, this is the Violent Dead zombie slam attack has 100% increased cooldown recovery speed. On top of the cooldown recovery speed from this, basically makes him like slam twice as much. If you use 2 of these jewels, which might be a bit over investment, but you can use 2, makes them slam 3 times as much, so you basically have them like slam shit. And you have now 7 base zombies, so getting to like 10 zombies is actually going to be pretty damn easy, which is really, really crazy. Yeah, you can actually get a lot of minions now, and you don't... Before it was like, if you want to use zombies or skellies, you're basically forced to go necro. Now these gems look very viable without Necromancer. So as I said, I kind of want to go Guardian, Crusader, Summoner. Could be a thing here. All right, what's next? Raise Spectre. That was teased today. I've not really looked at that much. Raise Spectre. Raise a Spectre version of a defeated foe. Blah, to fight for you in battle. Alright, that's basically the same. Minions have plus 30 all resistances. I don't really know what the current gem says, so let's have a look at the current gem. Yeah, the all resistances have always been there. More minion movement speed. I think that's also been there. Minions have less life. More minion movement speed. That's also always been there. There's no less life here. The cap has also always been there. Now this is new. Raised Spectres are level 80 on a 20 gem. So you don't actually have to go into like high maps and desecrate and like summon your minions. If one of them dies, you also don't have to. You just go, say you want Solar Guards, you just simply go to, let's say, Harbor Bridge or the Solaris Temple, and you just make Solar Guards and they will be level 80. And that's it. And you don't have to at all whatsoever run into maps, desecrate around, do like shenanigans, and whenever your Spectre dies, you just go back, resummon them there, and you have them. So that's going to be huge quality of life, less annoyances. Also, the accuracy might make attacking Spectres a lot more viable. For example, I used to run a build that used the Kitava's Heralds, the huge demons from the Kitava zones that fire like these dark ball projectiles, and they like leap slam into battle and punch stuff. They're really aggressive and really strong, and getting flat accuracy, like 1000 flat accuracy, is insane for those types of Spectres. Yeah, Spectres now raise monsters based on the level of the gem, so scaling up to level 80 at 20 gem level, and then +1 per gem level above 20. So you would, for example, to get like level 83, 84, 85 mobs, so would be what would be the current cap, you would need plus a few of levels, +5 levels. So +1 from corruption, and then you can get +1 to all socketed minion gems, not in the gem, but everywhere on the new wand base. And that's already 83. You can empower that. Maybe linking a power might be worth, or +2 staff setup, or +3 staff setup even might be worth for them now. So yeah, that's a lot of options. And I think the biggest one is maximum of 2 raised Spectres. I think currently it is 1. I'm pretty sure they doubled it, and then they doubled it. Oh my god. Yeah, so you have 2 base Spectres now, which I think is insane buff. So you can get 2 Spectres from the gem, 1 from the tree if they don't change it, which I don't think they do. 1 from boots, either with fossil crafted or bones of Ulu boots, and 1 from Vis Mortis. And you can get 2 extra from having 2 Midnight Bargains. Or you use Queen's Decree, I think also has 1. So 6 to 7 Spectres is actually, like 6 Spectres is not even that crazy. Alright, now into the Necromancer. I have not looked at any of this before, so we'll just go from like 1, 2, and so on. Alright, this is like the comparison made by a Redditor, so it has like the old and new information, so you can actually see what is new, which I think is really good. So we got Mistress of Sacrifice. Your offerings also affect you. That's always been my favorite notes, the most fun note. I'm really happy it stays. The old one was your offerings have 50% reduced effectiveness on you. Now it is only 25. So this matches the Queen's Hunger chest that you can get from Katarina, which I think is a good power level to be at. I think 100% might have been a bit too much, but buffing this node is definitely a step into the right direction. Could also be really good for stuff like hybrid spellcaster summoners, hybrid melee summoners, and all that kind of stuff. Maybe even on a Necromancer. Increased skill effect duration, the more the better. That's just how minion builds work. Keeping your buffs up longer for your minions, keeping your minions up longer that have a duration such as SRS, Herald of Purity, Dominating Blow minions. This is really good. And there's also increased minion duration, which apparently was taken over from Puppet Master. So this gives you 60% minion duration, right? Which is insane. Cast speed minion damage stays. Plague Bringer, this is completely new. Okay. If you've consumed a corpse recently, you and your minions have 30% increased area of effect. That's really nice because the Guardian gets 10% increased AoE for each Herald of Purity minion. So if you have all 4, which is really easy to have, you have 40% increased AoE. So getting some increased AoE on the Necromancer is actually really, really cool. With at least one nearby corpse, you and nearby allies deal 10% more damage. Having a corpse nearby just by killing enemies shouldn't be that difficult. And with at least one nearby corpse, nearby enemies deal 10% reduced damage. That's actually some really nice defense. Because usually Necromancer didn't really have that much nice defense, which is really, really, really good. And there are also the gloves that make your zombies count as corpses. So if you have your zombies around you, then you will always have a corpse there, which is pretty cool. Alright, Corpse Pact. Apparently corpses are really in fashion right now. It's a partially new node. 30% increased damage if you've consumed a corpse recently. Yeah, that used to be 40%, but that's probably not a relevant nerf. 2% increase in attack and cast speed for each corpse consumed recently. That used to be on the Mistress of Sacrifice, apparently. So yeah, that's not really new. Enemies near corpses spawned recently. So if you spawn a corpse on an enemy for 4 seconds, they are chilled and shocked. That's pretty cool. How much effect? Shock increases damage taken by 20%. 10% chill and 20% shock is really juicy. So you can basically toss Unearth at an enemy and they take 20% increased damage. Corpses you spawn have 50% increased maximum life. Detonate Dead, boys! This is insane for Detonate Dead. Mindless Aggression. Minions have 30% increased movement speed. Minions deal 30% increased damage. Minions have 10% increased attack speed. Minions have 10% increased task speed. This node is fucking boring, but it's strong. And then you can go to 10 or 12 from there. So you take basic good minion node and then into other Bone Barrier. Grants level 20 bone armor skill. I'm guessing this is kind of like a steel skin or something. Don't really know what that is, but it grants it and it's level 20. 1% additional physical damage reduction per minion, up to 10%. So basically 10% physical damage reduction, because that's just, you will always have 10 minions if you do this. Bone armor is basically steel skin, but for your minion. Oh! It grants your minions the buff. Does it grant you and the minions the buff? That would be kind of cool. So basically, if your minions are about to get slammed, you just press Bone Barrier and they get the defensive buff and just don't take too much damage. That's actually really cool because that's actually something that we've been asking for as well as summoner players. That we have some cool way other than convocating them out of there, and you can't convocate all minions, such as skeletons, for example. Having a cool way to actually react to our minions getting AoE nuked and make them take less damage. And that would actually be exactly that, and that is really awesome. Alright, what else do we get? 3% to all res per minion up to 30%. Make gearing easier, but it's not that crazy. 3% increased recovery rate of life energy shield per minion. That's really good. It's just good. You will always have this at max value. Unless all your minions die, and then you probably die anyways, because your minions will be more tanky than you. And minions have 20% more maximum life. So this just makes your minions a lot tankier. So if you're running specters and you don't want them to die all the time, maybe even zombies, I think this node is really good overall. It's like a really good defensive node. Depending on what else we get, this is really good for keeping your minions alive. So if you're making a persistent minion build that doesn't really rely on respawning them all the time, or for example like specters, which are not easy to respawn all the time, I think this is really good. +2 to level of all minions skill gems. Everywhere. So your offerings, all minions you have. Skill gems is not support gems, right? So it's not like to your minion damage supports. Just only skill gems. So it's only... Oh, would that be active skill gems? I'm not really 100% on the wording. It's free level 23 specters. Yeah, I have 21 gem +2. +2, +1 from like a corrupted chess piece. Yeah. Especially with this, the specter buff now is like a specter change now is a direct buff, because this is like makes it super easy to get high level specters now. This I think is just a really cool node as well. I think this may be something I could put on the elementalists as well. Just like, I don't know, unnatural elemental strength, and just give it +2 to all elemental skill gems, like fire gems, cold gems, lightning gems, or whatever. This is just generically good. Not too creative, but at least, I mean, it's not something we've seen before, so it's not too boring either, but it exists. Like, I think the more minion gems you have, the better this is, right? So let's say you have a 4-link golem set up in your helmet, and you have like a 6-link specters in your weapon, and you have 6-link zombies or skellies in your chest piece, and you have like another 4-link, I don't know, something else somewhere, like a Guardian. They will all get +2, so the more minion setups you have, the better it is. Yeah, I think that's the main takeaway from the notes we've seen so far. All of this is strong and really cool, but none of this forces you to go necro. It's not like zombies, skeletons, specters do not work unless you have any of this so far. Essence Glutton. 20% increased maximum mana. Mind over matter minion build, yay. For each nearby corpse, you and nearby allies regenerate 0.2% of energy shield per second. Up to 2%. That's... exists. Doesn't seem all that impressive. For each nearby corpse, you and nearby allies regenerate 5 flat mana per second up to 50 per second. Exists. Doesn't seem too impressive. Regenerate 8% of energy shield over 2 seconds when you consume a corpse. That's decent. 8% of mana when you consume a corpse. Yeah, I think this is pretty nice. Maybe I don't see the potential here, but I'm not too impressed by this node. Commander of Darkness, I think, is just what it always was, and this has always been a good node. I think it's still going to be a good node. Still get the area for your minions, still get the increased damage, still good support node, which has always have been good. It's a good support node. I think it has always been good. It's still good. Overall thoughts on the Necromancer. Ministers of Sacrifice, still really insane. It's been buffed. It's going to be absurdly good. This is really, really good. Plaguebringer gives some nice defensive and offensive utility if you can guarantee having corpses near enemies, and your build just naturally does that. The increased area effect, I think, is really, really cool. Let's say you're running a hybrid spellcaster minion build, or a hybrid melee minion build. This is really good because it gives you what the Guardian already had. This node, I think, is actually really good. The 20% shock is pretty insane. The question is how naturally you will be able to use this if your build utilizes this naturally very, very well. I think this is going to be insane. Also, we might see a resurgence of Volatile Dead Soul Rest builds. Insane with this. I think that's going to be really awesome. Mindless Aggression, just an overall insane node. Just give your minions nice stats, offensive stats, but stats. I think Bone Barrier will see a lot of use. I think Unnatural Strength will see a lot of use because those are just generally makes minion generally tanky, makes minion gems insanely powerful. This will see some use. There will probably be some builds that really abuse this, but I think the mainstream will stay away from this. And Command of Darkness is always viable. So I think Mistress, these four like Mistress and these 3 will probably see a lot of use. And then maybe some Command of Darkness shenanigans if you like low life stack and lots of auras or stuff like that. Be like, I want to play Necromancer, but fuck minions. You could just go like Volatile Dead or DD and just take Mistress, Plaguebringer, Corpse, Pact, and Essence Glutton. Go like MOM, ES. I think that would actually work. So if you hate minions, still want to play Necro, here we go.